Hello, my name is Carrie, and this is the Creative Obsession Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. Today is November 23rd, I believe. It's the day before our American Thanksgiving. And I wanted to do a quick podcast episode because I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get a chance to do another one in the near future. And I've got some coupon codes I want to make sure I get out there. And so I thought, let me just get in there and record. So if you're new, this is a podcast about quilting and knitting and craftiness and creativity. And thank you for joining me, to anyone that is new, and thank you for anybody that is returning. I really appreciate it. If you are a returning viewer, you notice that I'm in a different location. I have a pretty large house, and I pretty much have taken over the whole upstairs. I have shown my studio space before. I think it was in episode 5. I gave kind of a quick little tour of that space. And this used to be my son's bedroom, and it's now become kind of my yarn room office sort of space. This is where I've got a cabinet that has all my yarns that are in my Etsy shop, and I've got a desk area where I can do administrative stuff. So I kind of call it my office. It changes. It's like a craft room. It's an office. It's just more space for me to take up. So I decided to film in here because I wanted to just try and get this out, and the setup that I have to do in my other space, I just didn't want to have to go through all that. Plus I thought, well, I would like to show this quilt, and it's already hanging in this room, so why not just show that to you and just film in here. So hopefully it looks okay, because it is different. You know, it was kind of, I kind of played with where to put the light, and, you know, I've got a window over here that gives me some good natural light and whatever. Anyway, kind of rambly, sorry. It's been a little bit crazy. I had to work at my friend's quilt shop most of last week, and as an emergency yesterday, because both my friend and her daughter run the quilt shop, Mama Made It Quilt Shop, that's in Longview, Washington, and they got in last minute to a big quilt show that's up in Puyallup, Washington. So I was kind of on standby that if they got into that show, they needed me to work the shop. So they had like a day's notice to get in there, and so I worked last week. It's long hours because it's almost an hour commute each way for me to get to the shop, and so by the time you put in, you know, like an 8-hour day there, plus the couple hours of driving, I'm exhausted. So Saturday was my last day. So by Saturday, I was just exhausted. And I am more of an introvert, and I like talking with people and stuff, but 4 days in a row of doing retail was exhausting. So anyway, they came home from the show and got the flu. Both of them got the flu. So I got this emergency call yesterday morning. Can you go help in the shop? So I went over, got there just in time to open up the shop and had the shop open for her yesterday. So I thought I better hurry up and get an episode recorded before something else happens. Who knows? And with Thanksgiving being tomorrow and kind of through the weekend, I am going to help her on Friday. She's having a Black Friday sale. It's kind of a traditional thing here in the States, to have, you know, some majorly reduced prices in stores. And so people start early and they go shopping, and I don't usually, but she's having a sale in her shop and I felt like she needed some help. So I'm going to go. Have to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning, which means I have to get up really early and get ready. So that's what I'll be doing on Friday. So anyway, here we are. We're in my office, yarn room, whatever you want to call it. And so that's that. So I'll tell you about the quilt that's on the wall behind me. I made that a few years ago, and I was attracted to it because I liked the way the stars were sort of transparent almost. They sort of are kind of hidden there. There's a couple small ones, and they're very faint, and it is made with pre-cut 2.5-inch strips. So this was all made out of a batik fabric roll or whatever. The pattern is a Timeless Treasures pattern called Mango Salsa Stars by Conda Lukau. And there's the pattern. The pattern and then what they've shown it was in a roll of fabric that was mostly just oranges in different shades. There was this one that had some more gray blues in it, and I liked that better, so I did mine this way. It was a challenging quilt to put together, even though it's not that hard. You really had to be mindful of what you were doing with each individual strip. So you took your strip of fabric, and then some of them have little triangles in them, which complete the star. So you really had to sort of follow the map, gradated my fabric from like dark to light kind of a thing. And so there you go. I quilted it just with wavy lines, just randomly wavy lines, and I changed my thread color as I went down. So up at the top where it's more orange, my thread color is orange, and as it moved into yellow, I changed my thread to yellow so that the thread, even from the back, if you were to look at it, it's very faint, but I have to look at it, so I like it that way, that it's color gradated even with the thread. So that hangs up here in this little office space to kind of brighten up this room. So that's what that quilt is. I'm trying to think of Christmas, and I have a thread in the Ravelry group of like Christmas gift ideas. And so I've gotten some really good ideas, and I think I'd like you to join in and put any ideas in there that you might have, because other people may also benefit from them. And I also have to excuse my chair. This is a really squeaky chair, but it's a taller chair. It's more of a drafting chair, and that way I could sit higher so you could see the quilt, but it's going to squeak as I move around. It's not any other thing. So anyway, one of the things that Jim and I decided we wanted to do is to try and make infused alcohol. We enjoy our adult beverages in our family. And so we decided we wanted to try and do some infused alcohol. So we did try a batch. I found on Pinterest a recipe for salted caramel vodka. And I thought, oh, that sounds really good. So we tried it, and it tastes like crap. It just tastes awful. I couldn't find like really high quality caramels locally, and I went into Hillsborough, and I went to New Seasons and Kitchen Caboodle and different grocery stores, and everybody just had craft brand caramels, which are okay, but they don't have a real caramely taste. And so the vodka just doesn't taste very good. So I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try now. I went to the store this morning before the crowds hit the stores to get last minute Thanksgiving things, and bought some cranberries, and I'm going to try cranberry lime infused vodka. And so then I bought from Amazon, I got these bottles so we can bottle them, and I'll put a label on them. But I wanted to show you how I'm going to package them. I went to Joann's Fabrics and I bought some felt, and I'm making felt bags. This is like a black felt, and it's got a kind of a sparkle. I don't know if it's showing up on the camera or not. And I just cut a long rectangle, basically. This was a piece left over. So I cut a longer rectangle than this, and then I did it wrong sides together because I wanted my stitching to show. So I did a red stitching, and I cut, I don't know if you can see the edge of that. I cut it with I have a rotary cutter that has a wavy blade in it. I don't know that it's necessarily pinking, but I don't particularly like this rotary cutter for regular cutting, but it keeps my pinking blade, my wavy blade in it. And I use this if I choose to pre-wash fabric. When you pre-wash fabric, you get the end that has been cut off the bolt really frays and gets things really tangled up. But if I cut the edge, and I'll just take just a smidge off to give it a wavy edge on that cut edge, it's kind of like pinking it, and I hardly get any fraying at all. so you don't get that tangled nest of threads that are pulling off the edge. So anyway, I always keep this handy for that. So I just took my felt and I've got a black shirt on, you're not going to see, and just gave it a wavy edge along the long sides and the top. And then I threaded my machine with red thread, and I used a stretch stitch. And the only reason why I used a stretch stitch is because on my machine, the stretch stitch takes like 3 stitches to every stitch. So it stitches back and forth, and then, so it gave me a thicker stitching. And I just, first I appliqued on, I should talk about my tree. I appliqued on my tree, and I just drew out a tree on a piece of freezer paper, and I stuck it on and zigzagged around it before I folded it together. So I would have stuck the tree on when it was a rectangle. I kind of measured how far I wanted it up off the bottom, stuck it on, just pinned it on, and I just zigzagged around the tree. Sorry, I wasn't watching the time. My camera just turned off. So anyway, I did the red stitching, and then the way I measured it is I used freezer paper. This is something that we have available here in the States, and I don't know if it's available or maybe a different product somewhere outside of the States, but it's just freezer paper. And this is a fantastic tool, I guess, to have, because it's just a big piece of paper on a roll. It's usually about 18 inches wide, and the back side of it, I don't know if you can see if it's shiny, has kind of a wax coating. So I will use it just to have a big piece of paper to draw on sometimes, but you can also use it if you want for applique or whatever. You can iron, let me see how I can explain this. You can iron the shiny side to a piece of fabric and it will stick. And then it peels off. It's not glue. It's just the waxy surface that's on it will stick to fabric. Now, I didn't iron on my felt because felt is basically, it's just acrylic felt from Joann's. It's just cheap stuff. So basically it's plastic, and I didn't want to melt my felt. So I didn't iron to this, but I wanted to talk about the freezer paper because it's pretty amazing stuff. If you need to make it double wide, say you wanted to draw out something for whatever reason, I don't know why, I've used it for all kinds of things. If you take freezer paper and if you want to make it wider, you can put 2 pieces together by just overlapping it a little and pressing that, and that'll stick to itself. Now you've got a bigger piece of paper. I will use this when I draft out anything I may want to applique, just to draft out something. If I just need a big piece of paper, freezer paper is the way to go. And I think this is only like a couple of dollars at the store. I always keep at least 1 roll in the house. So if you have, that's just a little tip for, it's a quilting tip because we use freezer paper quite a bit in quilting, especially for applique. But if you have a need for just a big piece of paper, freezer paper is the way to go. So anyway, I'm going to, we'll get our infused vodka or whatever we're going to do. Hopefully it works. And then I'll just tie a ribbon across the top, and everybody will get this little bag as a gift and hang a tag from it, and it'll be really cute. Another little gift idea I wanted to share is if you were wanting to do, if you're going to do kind of a swap, or I don't know, you think you want to give any kind of minis to anybody and you want to wind up minis with a center pull, I want to show you how I do it. Jim cut me this dowel. It's just a piece of dowel. Where can I put it here? I measured it, and it's 5/8 of an inch across. I don't know that that really matters. I just asked him, do you have anything about the size of my thumb? And this is what he had out there. He cut a little groove, maybe only of 1/4 of an inch wide at the top. And what I'll do is put my yarn in the hole, and then I start winding it on here. And what I do is I wind kind of at an angle, and I just turn it. Just keep winding and turning and winding and turning until you get the amount that you want. Then make sure you pull your end out of the top, slide it off, and you end up with a little mini ball that pulls from the center. Now this I've used. So this is kind of falling apart because I used this when I knitted my socks for the heels and toes of my socks. So, but that's what I did. And then you just have a center pull. So if you just get a dowel about the size of your thumb, the size isn't really that important, but it makes the hole in the middle, and you just wind. You just kind of do like what your ball winder does, and you just sort of wind and keep turning and keep turning and keep turning. Slide it off, making sure you keep that end out because it'll get sucked down in, and then you've got your little ball. So that's my handy little tip, little tip of the day. I want to go into a couple of coupon codes that we have that are available. Okay, the first coupon code I want to mention is I had talked about the lint remover, the Gleaner, and the people from the Gleaner contacted me and gave us a coupon code for the people for our podcast and stuff. So this was the Gleaner. This is to take off pills off of your knitwear or anything, and then this is like a lint thing, and I like this. I've used it on a couple different things and I really like it. So anything off of their website, gleaner.com, if you use the code obsession10, and I'll put that on the screen, you'll get 10% off of anything in their site. So I thought that was really generous of them and really, really cool that they reached out to me and offered that to you. So that's only good through the month of November. I put it on Instagram immediately when they told me it. Unfortunately, it was right after I had already recorded, so I'm not recording until now. So, follow me on Instagram if you want to see really anything like that's happening, any updates to my shop, any of that. I posted on Instagram pretty immediately. I try not to be like a commercial, I know it's not all about my shop, but it's about what I'm doing, what I'm knitting, what I'm working on. You'll see it on Instagram. And if there's any kind of codes like that, that's where I'll post it. So go to gleaner.com, use obsession10, get 10% off anything on their site through the end of November of 2016. Another coupon code I want to tell you about is on Saturday in my Etsy shop, the Creative Obsession on Etsy. I'm giving 10% off. It's Small Business Saturday, which kind of like Black Friday, it's kind of become a big thing. And it's to encourage people to shop the small shops, the local businesses, anything, not that they don't want you to shop the big businesses, but to try and give the small businesses, the mom and pop shops, that kind of thing, to shop there as well. So I'm offering 10% off anything that I have listed in my shop. From 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, Pacific Standard Time. When you check out, use the coupon code SHOPSMALL and you'll get 10% off of your purchase. And I'm doing that also as a thank you to everyone who has supported my shop. I really appreciate it because I really enjoy making things and dyeing yarn and that kind of thing. And so I wouldn't do it if I didn't have anybody to buy it because I certainly don't need to do it all for myself. So anyway, those are two coupon codes that are available to you right now. So I hope you've used them. Okay, let's talk some knitting. I know I feel like I'm kind of rambling really fast. I just kind of wanted to keep this to a smaller episode, and I just talk fast sometimes. So I want to talk about some knitting. I want to show you progress on things that I've been working on, and I've maybe shown you in the past, but I have made some progress. With me working at the quilt shop, I haven't had as much time to work on stuff because there's just not enough time in the day. And last week was a busy week at the shop, so there wasn't even any downtime for me to knit while I was there. So in the evenings, I just sort of needed mindless knitting. I did make some progress on my Vente shawl. It's getting there. This is pretty mindless for me. You kind of have to just do whatever it is for the row, but it's not anything that you have to necessarily keep count with. So the last time I showed you, I was just here on this row. So I've done more. I'm now doing where you have to knit the whole length of the shawl. I can't show you because I can't pull this all out. It's on a 24-inch cord. But what was fun and interesting was this row right here. I don't remember what it's called, like a chainmail stitch or something. It was this weird, put the needle in and then you wrap like a couple of times for each stitch. So it took a little time because it's not something you can just do really quickly, but it wasn't hard. But it gives this really nice dropped stitch because there's an extra couple twists in it. It's not just a drop stitch. And so, so that was pretty cool. So I think I have like a couple more, or maybe I'm ready to do red again. I think I have to do the red again in that drop stitch pattern. So it's getting really close because if you look on the pattern, right here on that. So this is my drop stitch is that blue and then that yellow. That's where I'm at now. So I'm getting close. I've just got, you know, that much more to go. It is taking a while because I think there's close to 400 stitches on it at this point. But it is a good mindless knit and I'm really still enjoying working on it. I like the way it's turning out. Even though you can't get the full effect. I know when I first started making it and I was in the stripe section, I was thinking it looked really pepperminty, but now that I've got more of it done and there's bigger blocks of the color and more into the design of the colors, I don't think it looks pepperminty at all. And I think it's going to look really cool. So, yeah, I still really recommend this pattern. It's very well written. I like the fact, I've said this before, that he gives stitch counts every so often. So that's what my markers are for, is I've marked every 50 stitches because that doesn't change. You add stitches on the end. So the inner stitches don't change. So when I need to double check my stitch count, I just count 50, 100, 150, 200, 200, you know, and then I just count whatever the extras are. And then that way I can keep track of my stitch count and not have to count all 400 stitches. I'm still doing okay with my Knitter's Pride marbles. I'm still enjoying them for this project. I'm going to hold off on ordering any more till I try them out on a different project. For this project, it's working really well. So far I'm liking them. I do like the tips on them. They're a little bit they're a little bit sharper than my wooden Knitter's Pride, and I like that. So yeah, still using that. So making slow progress on that, but at least it's progress. I think I showed, maybe I didn't. Had I started the Mystik spiral yet? I don't think I had started it. Okay, so I'm making the Mystik spiral pattern. Here, Mystik Spiral Socks by Josh Ryks. I showed you the pattern. I know I brought that up. I got some mustache yarn. Oh, no, nuts. My little sticky came off. I have to try and figure out where I was stuck. So this is mustache yarn, perfect striping sock in, what's the color? Is it on the front? Right there. Autumn Afterglow. So I had Michelle and Leslie and Lori over for our monthly get together instead of meeting at the yarn shop. I had them come over here. And so it was a good time for Michelle to show me how to start a toe-up sock. It's kind of confusing. I'm hoping I can follow what she said when I do the next sock. I do like the rounded toe. Look at how nice and rounded that is. This is not a mindless knit for me. I had to cut the yarn because there was a little yarn fart on there, but it happens. No big deal. So I had to cut the knot out and start again. But it's kind of cool. I almost gave up on it because I was just like, I'm so used to just kind of having a mindless knit with my socks. It was like, I don't want to have to count anything. I don't want to have to try and figure this out. But then once you figure it out, it's not that big of a deal. I stopped whining and got on with it. So it's looking pretty cool. So I'm getting to the point, so you knit it and then you start kind of doing this, and now I'm leveling out again. So yeah, that's where it is. Looks the same pretty much on both sides. It's an interesting pattern. I do know that I need to also have a vanilla sock going, because like when I worked at the shop, like yesterday, emergency, can you come help us at the shop? I needed something that I could just grab, that I can maybe sit and knit on if it's slow in there and there's no customers, but I need to be able to drop it if somebody comes in. So I can't have anything where I'm keeping track or counting or anything like that. I needed mindless. So this didn't come with me. This was my evening knit, and sometimes I just didn't have the brain power to deal with it. But I am getting the groove of it now, and so it's pretty cool. So the problem is like you don't go all the way back and forth, and so you have to stop in the middle. I haven't lost any stitches yet. Hopefully that won't happen. But the cast on that she started me with, I think it's called the Turkish cast on. So I typed that in on YouTube, and I also found it to be Jenny's Stretchy Cast On or something like that. And Very Pink on her channel had a tutorial, and I watched it, and it's the same technique that Michelle showed me. So I think when I go to do the second sock, I should be able to duplicate it. It's a little complicated, but once you get it cast on, and you only have to cast on like 24 stitches or something. I don't even remember. Once you get that many cast on, then you just start knitting it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I am enjoying it now. I wasn't enjoying it at first, and I think it was just where my brain was, or lack of. So because I needed vanilla, I cast on some yarn. I was testing some colors when I was doing some dyeing, so this is just a test. And anyway, it was like, I don't know, I'm just going to start knitting with it because I need to knit something that's vanilla, something I can grab and take with me. So I'm now making the heel. I haven't gotten very far, but I'm starting to make the heel flap. So this was cuff down. This is my like tried and true recipe. 64 stitches on a 2.25 millimeter needle. I use my Hiya Sharps, which I really like, magic loop. I do want to get some more needles because like this will be on. This isn't a sock for anything. It was just so that I had something vanilla to grab. So it's like, okay, my needle's tied up with this. My needle's tied up with those. But if I did something, I need another needle. And this is a 40 inch, and I'd gotten these in a 40 inch because I tried the 2 at a time with a double knit sock blank. And so I needed the extra length, but I find with just doing one sock, which I do prefer to do, I can go with a 32 inch. So I want to get some more Hiya Sharps in the 2.25, but on a 32 inch. So I can have more socks on the needles. Why not, right? So like I said, this is not a colorway. It's weird how it's doing that. It's making this like stripe. It's kind of funny because it's doing exactly the same on the other side. So whatever, they'll just be whatever socks, you know, you can wear whatever. It doesn't matter. So those are my works in progress. The only FO I have, and I know I was almost done, but it's my Ice Ice baby socks. I have one skein set of this left in my shop. So hopefully someone will snag it because I can't wait. Now that Thanksgiving's gonna be over and we're officially like in the Christmas season, making socks, wearing socks. These are ready to wear. I haven't worn them yet. So now I want to talk about a couple of projects that I want to get started on. That's kind of like up and coming. Okay, before I get started with what I want to make in the future, I forgot that I have to show you another whip that I'm working on. And it's a vanilla hat. I know we have vanilla socks, and so I think this is just a vanilla hat. I don't know, but it's a hat I'm making for Jim for Christmas. So this is worsted weight in my Hidden Beauty colorway. This was a colorway that was inspired by David of the Dog Dare podcast, a photo that he had posted on Instagram. Inspired me. I posted that I just ran downstairs to get this. I should have caught my breath before I started recording. I'm like, oh crap, I got to get this out of the car. I still had it in the car because I grabbed it and took it with me yesterday when I went to work at the shop. And I didn't want to bring it in because he was home, and so I had it hiding in my car. Anyway, I'd posted a picture of this last week. I had gotten it started, and I really liked how the color was kind of spiraling and sort of pooling, and it was going up, and I'd gotten, I don't know, about this far from the bottom, and realized that I didn't increase to make the head part bigger. So what I'm doing is I'm following, because Jim tried on the bobble hat for me, the one that I made for my niece that I showed last episode, and he liked the way it fit. He goes, yeah, it fits really good. It's nice and snug and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I'll just use the same thread count, that's quilting, same stitch count. Sorry, my needles are clanking. My same stitch count and row, and I can pretty much make the same hat. So this is worsted weight. I use size 4s for the ribbing and cast on. Started with 96 stitches, moved up to a size 6, increased some stitches, and now I'm starting to do the crown decrease. So when I had to take it all out, took it all out to the binding. I'm like in my quilting brain because I've been hanging out at the quilt shop. Got down to the ribbing and started it over. Yesterday was really, really slow in the shop, so I was able to knit a lot. And this was a great project to have that I could just stop wherever I was. I'm not counting anything. I'm just knitting in a circle. So when I added more stitches to it, it changed the way the colors were pooling, and they're not pooling anymore. It's more variegated, which I like as well. But it was looking kind of cool because it was getting this like spiral look to it, but I think he'll like it. He really it's kind of boring. He just likes like gray and blue, maybe a little black. So this has got a lot of blue, but it's got a little punch of yellow, which I think will look really nice on him. I think it'll really make his blue eyes look really blue, and I think it'll look good. And I think he's going to like it. It'll be nice and warm, and it's one of my favorite colorways. So anyway, I wanted to show you the progress on that. I should have it done by the next episode. I can't work on this at night when he's home because he'll see it. So, okay, that was that. Sorry about the out of breathness. So I was watching Amber on the Yarn Hoarder podcast, and she did a whole segment about felted slippers, and I knew that was exactly what I needed to do. So I got the pattern from Lavender Hill Knits, and I bought the set. So I have the women's size and the men's size and then kids size, which I don't have any kids to make it for, but I'm going to make slippers for Robert and his partner for Christmas. So I ordered the yarn. I got some Cascade 220 worsted, just wool, so that it'll felt, and just got it in like black and gray because they like black and gray. And I'm going to make them some slippers. So I'm excited about it. I need to get the soles. I have made slippers before. I've made them for myself. And they're kind of fun because you're knitting with big fat needles. Like these call for size 11. So it's like this big fat needle. It knits up pretty quick. You do have to knit a big, looks like a big clown shoe, and then felt it. But I haven't done it in a long time, and I didn't use any kind of a sole, and so eventually I just wore the bottom out of them, and I had to toss them. Well, you put some work into it, and you don't want to just toss them. So I'm going to get leather or faux leather or something to sew on the soles of them, for one, so they're not slippery, and then that'll make them last a little longer. I do think I want to contact I think her name's Julie. I want to contact Julie, who's the designer of this, because Robert's got really wide feet. Unfortunately, he got my side of the feet. He's got a really wide foot. So I want to check with her to see how I can add a little bit more to the sole, and then how I match that on the top so that he has a little bit more width. But I think that's a really neat gift. So I'll get my guys. I want to knit Jim some. I didn't tell him. I asked him what he thought. Do you think the boys would like? I call them my boys because they'll always be my boys even if they're in their adult years. Do you think the boys would like this? And he's like, yeah, I think they would. And so I thought, I think Jim would like them too. So I'll get the boys done first, see how that goes. Because I can't knit Jim's with him watching. So I thought that would be really kind of cool to give him a hat and some slippers. I've knit Jim other stuff and he never wears it. So we'll see. We'll see if he wears it. If not, it's okay. At least it gives me something to give him. Something that's handmade by me. So that's coming up. I should get the yarn soon. So I'll start knitting on those. Another thing that is coming up for me that I'm really excited about. So, I don't know if you've seen, Emily Straw has designed a hat pattern that is just ingenious. And it has, let me do this. It has the words, some key words from the musical Hamilton. I love Hamilton. I've listened to it a gazillion times. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to make this hat. But I don't wear hats. So a good friend of mine is the one that turned me on to this. And she's the one I went to New York with to go see Broadway plays. And so I thought, I have to make her a Hamilton hat. So I didn't want to surprise her because I need to know her head size and everything. And so I told her the other night, I said, I have this pattern that I'd like to make for you. Would you wear a hat? She goes, I'd like to wear hats, but I don't ever wear them because I have a big head and hats just don't fit me. I said, well, I would make sure that this hat fit you. So I showed her, pulled it up on my phone, and she's like, yeah, I have to have this. So it's a fairly new pattern. It is free, but you can make a donation, which I did because I don't think that she should give this away for free. There was way too much work that went into figuring this out. There's the star on the top of the head that goes with the playbill, and it's just so cool. So, a lot of what's been knitted as far as test knits, Candy from the Pause for Stitches podcast has knit one, and she did it in that gold color that's on the playbill and like kind of parchment color, you know, to kind of go with the style, the age of where this all takes place. But I knew my friend, that's not her colors at all, like at all. She's a very colorful person. So I thought, you know what, we're going to do it our own way. So, this is going to be the base of the hat, the background color. And this was out of my shop. This is Damn It Janet. So it's speckles of turquoise and violet and pink and green. And it's just speckled, but reads pretty light. And then I'm going to do the lettering in this darker purple. She loves purple, thank goodness, because I think everybody should love purple. And this is from Blue Moon Fiber Arts. This was a mill-end one that I got when I was there in June. And so when I wound it, it had a knot, and I just cut it at the knot. And because I thought I can always just, you know, have an extra tail to weave in if I need to, because I'm using it as color work. So this will be the lettering. It's a dark purple. Hopefully you can see that in the light with this. Yeah. So my concern was, will it fit her? Because she's got a big head. So I had her measure her head. She's got a 24-inch head, which is a large head. It is. So I swatched. I did a swatch. I don't do swatches because I don't usually make anything that has to fit that well. And the pattern is in fingering weight, but Emily used a size 3, I think. Yeah, size 3. And I thought, okay, let me go up at least a needle size. And so I just did a small in the round with some of the lettering. So I was still doing it on circulars. I was still doing color work and just picked a couple of words and knit that. So I only knitted so much, and I'm trying to test it. And I have to show you this cool gadget that I got. I picked this up at Twisted a while ago, and I had never had a chance to use it. And it's this little gauge thing by Ann Budd Knits, and it's got little lines, like stitch lines. And so you just line up your knitting with whatever one fits where your stitches are. And it tells you how many stitches per inch you have. Pretty clever. So I was knitting it on size 4s, and I wasn't coming up with enough stitches I was coming up with too many stitches per inch. I needed to make it bigger. So I did it with a size 5, and I thought I don't want to go up any higher than a 5 because then I'm afraid that you'll see the stranded work behind, you know, if it's knit too loosely. So I felt like I got gauge with the 5 to give me a 24-inch head. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to start it. I mean, you might as well knit something you're going to use if you're knitting. And so I'm going to go with the 5. I'm going to start knitting the band. I'm going to see if you can see. You do inside the band, you do the darker color with the light lettering, and it says Hamilton on the inside. And then you do a provisional cast on, so the band is a double layer. So I thought I'll just start with that and see, and then I'll double check. And if I have to take it out, I have to take it out. But I have to do that with the swatch anyway. I would like it to go on a 4 just because I think you get a tighter fabric. My next thought was to get maybe sport weight yarn and just bump up the thickness of the yarn and see if that gave me a better gauge. But I really like this. I really like this combo. And whoops, there's my needles. I just really feel like this is going to be what I want it to look like. And being that this is Damn It Janet, our good friend, his name is Janet, and I just thought that was cool. Not the same friend I'm making the hat for, but so I'm going to try it. If it, being that it's not for a birthday, it's not for Christmas. If I have to rip it out, I have to rip it out. And it's just the way it is. So that I'm really excited about. I really, really want to just start working on that because I just think it is the coolest thing. I think it's the coolest. The hard part is you get your chart and you have to tape your chart. So that's how I was trying to do the letters with all these Post-it notes. So you have to do this huge chart, which doesn't really lay on your lap very well. And so I'm having to also figure out how to keep track as I'm moving. I can put Post-it notes and keep track this way, but then how do I keep track of where I am as I move along? So I'm still kind of got to figure that out. Just because it is so big, even if I got one of those chart holder things that uses a magnet, it's only the size of a piece of paper. And this is like 3 pieces of paper stuck together. So I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm really excited. And I really, really want it to fit her because I think if it fit her, she'd wear it. I really do think she'd wear it and she'd be proud to wear it. And then she's leaving. She's going to leave in about a year to do missionary work in Africa. So she's going to be gone. And I just thought it would be really cool if she had a little piece of home, a little piece of me, and all of that stuff to take with her. So, oh, I wanted to do a giveaway. Okay, so that's all my knitting stuff. But I wanted to do a giveaway. I have some lace yarn that I'm never going to use. And it's decent yarn. What had happened is, I'm getting tangled here. Somebody at my husband's work, his grandmother died, or grandmother-in-law or something like that, and had a big tub of yarn. And he goes, do you want it? I'm like, sure, I'll take it. And so I sorted through it, and there wasn't too much of the acrylic cheap stuff. And I donated that to the senior center and kind of went through it and donated that type of stuff to the senior center. And I kept the other things that were a little bit nicer. Well, I've had this tub now for a few years. I think I've picked through and taken what I'm actually going to use, and the rest of it's just sitting there. And so I let Leslie and Michelle and Lori kind of go through it and see if there was anything that they wanted out of it, and they took what they wanted. But I had several skeins of lace weight yarn, and I don't feel like I'm a lace weight knitter. I tried once, and I know it's only once, but I got lost. I couldn't tell it was just too fine. I couldn't really tell what my stitches were doing. And I just don't think I would ever wear a lace weight anything. So I wanted to give some away. So over the next couple of episodes, I may have some. So the first batch I have, and this is from Knit Picks. It's Knit Picks Shimmer. It's 70% baby alpaca, 30% silk. It is very soft. Each skein is 50 grams, 440 yards. So I have 4 skeins of it. I thought I don't know if I should split it up. 440 yards, that's 800 and some yards. I mean, that's a lot. I want to split it up. So you would get 2 of each. 2 different people will win 2 skeins. This is in the stained glass colorway. This is probably not even offered. I didn't look at it. Didn't look on there online because I'm sure it's older. She had it in her stash for who knows how long. Still tagged. Hasn't been used. Brand new. So let's do a prompt. Okay, let's do a prompt. I'm gonna open a thread in the Ravelry group, and the prompt will be, because we're getting into the Christmas season, and people are decorating, people are putting lights up on their houses and lights up on their trees. And I want to know whether you prefer the colored lights or white lights. Even if you don't decorate for Christmas or celebrate Christmas as a holiday, you still see it around. So if you have a preference, and I will do random number generator and pick 2 winners, and I will send you 2 skeins of lace weight yarn. It's really pretty. I wish this was in like fingering weight. I'd keep it. But, so yeah, so go to the Ravelry group, answer that question. So my answer would be I prefer the white lights. As a kid, we grew up with the colored lights, and I would lay under the Christmas tree and just look at the twinkly lights, and I loved it. But I love white lights on a tree, because to me, it just looks like stars. It's like twinkling little stars, and I love it. So we always did colored lights when our kids were little and had colored lights on our tree and colored lights on the house and stuff. But once Robert was old enough to like not really care, I'm like, okay, I'm going white. And I like it because we put white lights on the house, which just lights up the house. He'll add some red, like red and white looks really good. But on the tree, and we haven't done a tree in a few years, but I would put white lights on it because I just think it illuminates the tree better, and then you can see the ornaments. So anyway, whether you like colored lights or white lights, if you have a different tradition that has kind of this or that type of thing, put that in there too. It doesn't really matter. It just gives you a way to enter. I will close. Should look on my calendar. Probably should have planned this out a little bit better. Let me look on my calendar and see when I will probably be podcasting again. So I'll close it like December 7th. So you have a couple of weeks, and that would be good, because then you'll get, if I mail this out like right around there, because it is getting into the holidays, then the mail service is a little bit slow. So don't really count on this for mail. But I want to give you time to watch, because I know people aren't going to see this right away because of the holidays and stuff. Okay, so that's that. I do want to mention a couple of new podcasts that I don't think I've mentioned before. One I just mentioned was Candy over at Pause for Stitches. So she's got a few episodes. She's fairly new, but she does a nice podcast, and she usually films from their cabin in upstate New York. And so it's just kind of cool. Like, I wish I had a cabin like that. So check out Pause for, and you use the number 4. So it's pause like dog paws, 4 stitches. Another one that I found is Alternates, and it's with Adrian, and he is out of Australia. He's a young guy out of Australia. He doesn't have a lot of episodes, but what he has I like, and so I hope he keeps going. So I've seen a few of his episodes, and I like his accent too. He's cute. And Christy Glass Knits is another one that I've been watching lately. So she's got some really fun ones. She's done some interviews with people. A lot of you may have seen her. She did a thing about in Rhinebeck. She had a big poster, and filmed people like, tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater. And people would say, you know, such and such yarn. It's kind of like what you're wearing on the red carpet, but it was the Rhinebeck style. So it was really cute. And she's got a lot of energy and she's a lot of fun. So those are 3 new ones, newer ones that I haven't mentioned before that I have been enjoying lately. So, okay, we're good. We're good. We're out. Have a great Thanksgiving. Anybody that's celebrating it here in America. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoys whatever holiday season activity that you will be getting into. I will be recording in a couple of weeks. Until then, thank you very much. Enjoy, be safe, and love on everybody.